We're all just students, and there's nothing embarrassing about that. We live in a world that is massively oversaturated with countless forms of art. And on one hand, it's beautiful. It's great to see people reclaiming their childhood hobbies and being like, you know what, the adult 9 to 5 is not working for me. I'm going to throw myself all into my creative abilities. And it's really inspiring and uplifting to watch. And on the other hand, there's so much of it online that you're just consuming it constantly and you're like, damn, I wish I could do stuff like that, but I'm just not creative enough. My ideas are not good enough. And that's where the danger starts to set in, because first of all, you gotta stop consuming so much media. I know it seems counterintuitive because people say, like, if you want to be a writer, you have to read all these books. And yeah, that's true, to like learn the basics of storytelling and like what makes a story flow, what makes the plot operate the way that it does. You have to read different forms of books. Like when you start seeing things on social media where it's like everything is aesthetically pleasing and you have like thousands of views and likes on a single post, and it seems like everyone else except for you is getting all this attention, that's where we start airing into the danger territory. Because the thing is, consumption was never meant to be a hobby. I think somewhere along the way between the inception of social media with the idea of like connecting people across borders, somewhere between that idea and the place where we are now, where social media is now part of the professional sphere, we lost the plot. Because now you have a lot of people doom scrolling on their phone for hours at a time. They are doing nothing but consuming other people's ideas. And those ideas start to blend and mesh together, and it becomes very loud. Any idea that they might have that is their own, it now has the potential to be swallowed by everything else that they've consumed, because they see all these great things online and they're like, I could never produce something that people love that much. And that's just simply not true. It's like a barrier you have to cross in your own mind of saying, like, you know what, if anyone else can just go all in on their creativity and create something that people really resonate with and really enjoy, then why not me? I think that is maybe an easier step to take for some people than just saying, like, if someone else can do it, then I can too. Because I think a lot of people will just very easily be like, no, actually, I can't do that. But when you reframe it as like, why can't I do that? Then you have to sit with yourself and be like, I don't think my ideas are creative enough. I don't have enough time. I don't have the motivation. I don't have the inspiration. That's when you start to name and define all of the obstacles that are supposedly holding you back from pursuing whatever you want to do. We'll use me as an example. When I was writing my first book, I had so many moments of just like thinking, I could never do this. I can never be published. No one's ever gonna want to read my book. Everything has already been written. Any sort of like common cliche self-doubt fear that you can think of, I was living with that. I still live with it. It's just, I've gotten to a point now where I just kind of ignore it, or I get to this point where I'm just like, okay, and because that is the truth, honestly. I honestly think that like there are no new ideas anymore. I think everything is a retelling, everything is a reinterpretation of something that already exists. I mean, you see it in modern media today. Like, we have Christopher Nolan is directing a new interpretation of the Odyssey, and the Odyssey has existed for centuries. That is not a new idea by any means, but people are still creating things based off of it, and people are still finding aspects within pre-existing stories that are worth reiterating. And the thing is, society is at a point now where we have determined that if you're not making money off of your creation, then you're not doing something right, or you are wasting your time, or whatever. That's complete bullshit. I will be the first to name myself an anti-capitalist. I hate the system. I hate the way that things are set up. I hate that there are so many creative people out there who are not able to express themselves authentically because they have rent to pay. I'm in a unique position where I live with family. I'm not having to worry about like housing costs or utilities. I just pay for my groceries and my gas and my like insurance bills. Like that's what I pay for. So I recognize that like I'm in a unique privileged position where I am able to fully throw myself into my creative work and just take that on full time. And society has like shaped this narrative where only special people become established. Only special people who have the right connections, who have the right amount of luck, are in the right place at the right time, are capable of creating these beautiful forms of art. And that is, again, another lie that I think we've been told and internalized over the years and past couple generations, because at the start of everything, art, visual, musical, storytelling, like all of those things that were very community-based. They were passed down through speakers. Music was sung together. It was a communal effort, and it wasn't something that people did to rise to fame or stardom. It was just part of life. And that is something that I really would love to see brought back into daily life in this modern era. I don't know if it'll happen in our lifetime. I think the whole point of this little rant is that your ideas do not suck. You're just surrounded by too many people, too many strangers who are only showing off the absolute best of what they can do. And when you do nothing but consume their portfolio, that's the start of the downhill slope, basically. That is what starts the downward spiral into thinking, I could never create something like this. I don't have the resources, I don't have the time, and then eventually you just don't create. So how do we break free of this mindset that our ideas suck? My first piece of advice for this would just be to disengage from social media. Speaking from experience, someone who heavily dislikes Instagram, but unfortunately I have to use it for the marketing purposes for my book. I set a time limit on my phone so that I can only use Instagram for like an hour at a time every day, and knowing that the timer is there just naturally pushes me away from opening the app and like endlessly scrolling, because I do have that limit, and sometimes creating a post to upload does take me like at least half an hour. So knowing that I'm cutting that deeply into my work time is a natural deterrent. Another thing that has helped me over the years, and I do mean literal years because it's a constant mindset practice of just thinking, like whenever I catch myself thinking, oh, I could never write something like that, I could never create a video like that, I could never present myself online like that, counter it with why not? And maybe if you have the time, actually sit with yourself and write out the question, why can I not be as creative or as spontaneous or as successful as these people that I see online? And list every single obstacle that you think is holding you back, and just kind of sit with that and realize not only how limiting is it to speak about yourself that way, but also some of these obstacles are not as big as you think they are. For example, if we're going back to my writing, thinking my ideas are not original enough. I've already talked a little bit about how ideas are really not that new anymore, but my voice is. And just being who I am, when I was younger, I kept a lot of my thoughts and ideas to myself. I was not a very expressive person. Music was like my main expressive outlet because I didn't have to speak. I didn't have to talk to anybody. I didn't have to verbalize my thoughts in any form. And now that I have, I guess, accessed writing as my main creative outlet, it's kind of like I'm writing too much. But it's kind of a beautiful transformation because, again, thinking that I don't have original ideas, clearly I have plenty of ideas. I have a unique perspective on things, and it's sometimes a perspective that other readers would not have been exposed to if I had not written them. The point of that is when you confront yourself with these limitations that you place on yourself, that's when you get to decide, are these obstacles, are these limitations actually true? Or am I just scared to challenge them? Am I scared to push myself past what I thought I could do? So basically what I'm trying to get at is you already have everything you need to just start. If you're afraid of outside perception, keep it on the down low. Don't mention it to anyone while it's a work in progress. Just keep working on it until it is something that you feel confident about showing off. Because I know that a lot of people do just have this fear of being in the learning phase, being in those like early stages of learning a new skill or developing a hobby that you put down for a while. It's okay to be a student. It's okay to be in the learning phases. No one ever becomes a professional by just creating one masterpiece and being done with it. We are wired by social media and our phones now to crave that sort of instant gratification. But the thing is, any form of art really is a constant learning process. And that's a beautiful process. Skills take time to develop, regardless of what it is. Like, even me speaking to a camera, that is a skill that I'm having to relearn and like redevelop as I'm trying to transition back into a somewhat steadier upload schedule. It's scary. I'm actually like a little bit terrified to upload this because it has been almost a month since I put anything on YouTube, but I'm still here. I have ideas for future videos. I have a vision for how it will look, and honestly, most of the time when it comes to YouTube, the vision in my head does not match up with what you guys see. And closing that gap between the vision in my head and the actual execution, that's a skill that I'm having to build, and it's one that I'm enjoying building. And if you are here watching, listening to me in the background, and you're sticking with me, then you have my thanks, because like I said, we're all just students, and there's nothing embarrassing about that, and there's nothing to be ashamed of when you are putting that learning process on display, because then other people can watch your learning process, and maybe then they will feel a little bit less scared about starting new things on their own. And then you become a source of inspiration for someone else, don't even realize it, and then it just creates this more beautiful, gentle, and compassionate cycle of people inspiring each other and bouncing ideas off of each other, and that is what I want to see more of in the world. So that's where I bring this video to a close. If you stayed for all of it, then thank you very much. You can, if you feel so inclined, subscribe. You can also head down to the description where you'll find links to my author website, my author Instagram, and just like all those good things. I don't have an uploading schedule. I never did officially like announce an uploading schedule to begin with, because I had a feeling that at some point I would kind of like fall off of it and go astray, which I did. But yeah, like I said, I do have a few more ideas about future uploads, so stay tuned for those, and I will see you when I see you.